Alright, hi, this is Crunch Cut. Now, the main reason I'm wearing this is because, one, I'm not going to be doing a face reveal too quickly, and two, I didn't want you guys to stare at a dark screen for the entirety of the video. So, Behemoth will be uploaded later today, but for now, I am going to upload a video. Sorry, it's a bit difficult to breathe in this. I'm going to be sharing a story from a D&D game that happened last night, which is why I couldn't record, because I was playing D&D. So, let me get into the story. Hold on, give me a minute. Okay, much better. So, anyway, in this game of D&D, I was, I'm going to keep my mask on. I was playing as a Warforged monk with the shadows. And I was playing along with another person who was a rogue. I don't remember what their class was, but it was something to do with psionics. But, anyway, we were playing D&D, and, our DM had us go through a temple type thing, where we're to find an artifact that was similar to, like, the dragon claw from Skyrim. And, during this, we were led by a guide named Phil. And Phil was quite sketchy. So, me and the rogue decided to do an insight check, which we failed. To see if he was, doing anything suspicious, which failed. Anyway, so, what we did next was we were at the door, and the rogue decided to look into the, lock, to see if there was anything suspicious, which had a, mechanism in it, which the DM told us after the game would have, taken us to a very dark room where we were supposed to start in. And I, being the, big brain galaxy guy that I am, broke through the door by doing a strength check, which I got I think I got a 15 on, since the way to pass it was a 10, since the door was made of steel and it was quite ancient. I ended up ripping the door in half and just walking through. So, hold on, I need to take a drink. Sorry about that, I needed to get a drink. Anyway, we entered into the dungeon, where we found where it was a completely dark room, and since the rogue was the only one who had dark vision, he was the only one who could see. Now, at this point, I didn't know that Warforged technically had dark vision. Now, some of you might be asking, wait, is this like a high fantasy? Were we doing like a high fantasy thing? The answer is yes, we were. And the Warforged I decided to do, since Warforged are quite flexible, I decided to do one that was completely made out of animal parts. So, like, animal bones and all that. Anyway, I'm continuing forward. He ended up finding a torch which had another trap mechanism on it, which he ended up disarming, and when he had found the screw that was pinning the torch down, he had unscrewed it and had completely destroyed the screw, like disintegrated it. It was quite rusty, so he ended up disintegrating it. And continuing forward, we decided to go deeper into the dungeon, where we didn't encounter any enemies, like, at all, not much. And sorry about that, the mask is just like falling, I'll have to hold it like this. Anyway, we decided to go through it, and we had done investigation checks before we found a door at the end of the hallway, but the DM described them like the area around it as cracked. So I decided to do an investigation check to see if the area was cracked. And I don't remember if it was me or the rogue, but one of us did it, and we had rolled an investigation check, and we found that the floor was quite unstable. So I decided to poke at it with a staff that I had in my inventory. Now, just to give you guys keep in mind, me and the rogue were level 3 because he decided to do a campaign where we started at level 3. Anyway, we had gone through the map. I poked the unstable ground, which had led into a pitfall. So the rogue decided to check how far down the pit was. So I think he dropped something. I don't know if it was something from his inventory or something from the surrounding area, but he dropped it. And the brick, or whatever he dropped, didn't even reach the ground. It was that deep. So we decided to come up with an idea of putting a table, like using a table that was in the area as like a form of bridge. So I was the one to go last, so the rogue went first, and he had to make a athletics dexterity check to see if he passed it, because he would have to balance since he was walking on the frames. Anyway, he passed that. I also passed the dexterity check, and we ended up in a room. Oh, sorry about that. Anyway, this room was quite the oddity, because there wasn't much in the room, but we did find a few books. So I decided to go and check out the books, and it had some lore stuff to do with the area. Like, it was like an ancient ruin, and we found a journal of a guard who was at the area, and a journal of the previous guy who had been there. So I relayed this information to them. Now, the rogue, like I said earlier, had something to do with psionics. So we were speaking telepathically, basically. As, I'd also found something about a monster in there. It was some kind of shadow demon. Anyway, continuing forward. So we had gone through all this stuff, and we found another area, which was a library, but half of it was about burned, with a couple skeletons at the edge. So we decided to go to the skeletons, and I had the feeling that the skeleton was going to reach out and grab me. So I decided to poke it first to see if anything would happen. Nothing happened, so I went in and grabbed the amulet, the thing that was there. And it was some kind of a amulet or locket. Then the rogue had pointed out something that was quite suspicious. It seemed to be a large figure, but when I approached, it then phased into the wall. So, with that knowledge, I decided to pull another big brain move and break down the wall. Now you guys might be thinking, wait, you're a monk, aren't you supposed to be, like, calm and collected? Here's the thing, D&D does not... I was chaotic neutral. That was my alignment. I could do whatever the heck I wanted. So, anyway, I decided to break down the wall. Sorry about that. And we ended up in a laboratory. Now, this laboratory... Hold on. This laboratory was quite different, because we had found some stuff in there, including some human body fluids. I'm not going to name which one. Actually, I'm going to name it. It was blood in some vials, and the rogue decided to collect a journal with the experiments in it, because he had a client which would pay top price for it. So as we were about to leave the room, the rogue had spotted in the corner of his eye a humanoid creature which then fades back into the wall. So then, since this was a roleplay, the rogue told me to run, and I basically sprinted through the door and ended up tripping on the bar. You know those door bars that are used to lock them? Yeah, I basically tripped up over that and then flipped over it and fell on my back. So, it's out of the way. We decided to go through the hallway. And, I decided to walk. We saw a door, so I decided to walk to it. That door, and I decided to look through the keyhole, which was, melted a bit, but somehow I managed to look through it to getting a 19 on perception. So I decided to look through it. So anyway, sorry about that. I had to change my mask. This one has a bit more ventilation in it. So I had gone. We went through to the door. I looked through the keyhole, and there was an eye peering back at me. So I decided to. I freaked out and broke down the door, like an idiot. And on the other side of it was nothing. But what the rogue saw was a person's body that sunk into the ground a second after we had entered the room. So, we decided to go through that hallway, and we found another room. I don't remember what the room looked like, but it was a room. And we had found a chest in there, which we had also found in the room where I found those journals. And in those chests were a crystal of some form, some money, and a dagger of some kind. So while we were looking through them, we had found a we had found some similar stuff in it, and we decided to go to the other room, where we had found a bunch of other stuff I don't remember, but anyway, we decided to descend down some stairs that we'd found, and I decided to put my ear up to the door to hear what was going on there. So I broke down the door. I had broke down the door, and we had running coming from the area. As we looked in there, and we found some stuff that had belonged to our guide, Phil. So, as some of you might understand, if you guys have played D&D, and your favorite NPC, or friendly NPC decided to betray you, I was understandably pissed. So, after I collected all the items that Phil had dropped, I ran through the door and yelled out loud, non-psychic link had with the rogue, out loud. I yelled, "Phil, where are you?" And then the DM described a loud screeching as a shadow demon popped out from the wall. And I said, "Shut the hell up, you idiot." And I just started roasting the shadow demon. Roasting it, insulting it in any way you could think of. And then when we got into the fight, I just started curb stomping the shadow demon, which we ended up winning. And from that point onward, after I killed the shadow demon, I was tracking Phil down like a bloodhound in that dungeon. And I will save the rest for part 2. If you guys would like to see another part of the story, do let me know, and I'll upload it next time. Ta-ta.